Lou Dobbs of Fox Business Network had on Colonel Ralph Peters, who is a Fox News contributor and a foreign policy analyst. They're going to talk about Iran here, and notice the multiple embarrassingly stupid comments from Peters.
The administration's continuing to press on Iran and the negotiations in Geneva. President Obama himself scheduled to meet Senate leaders tomorrow, urging them to hold off on any new sanctions during nuclear negotiations with Iran. Joining us now, Fox News strategic analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. Colonel, great to have you with us. Your thoughts about the president's meeting with Senate leaders, most of whom want to raise the intensity of those sanctions, not diminish them.
Well, let me give your viewers the bottom line, because you deal with bottom line people. Never put academics in charge of anything ever off the campus. Obama is an academic. He's surrounded himself with academics. For them, it's all theory and games theory. Look, your business viewers know that when you have the competition on the mat, you don't help him up and share the profits. Now, we finally are getting Iran in the corner where we want them.
There's so many stupid things there. So first, I like his, I'm anti-academics. That's like saying, I'm against intelligence. Somebody give me a dumbass. I prefer idiots over anybody who knows something. What a fool, what a fool. But I mean, funny enough, this is a conservative being honest about conservatism. Yeah, I prefer, a strong guy. I prefer a leader who doesn't think much but just acts, like George W. Bush did. So I like that admission there. It shows that this is a guy to not be taken seriously by anybody, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum. But then also, they're talking about Iran, and they're talking about nuclear negotiations with Iran. Now let me get a couple facts out there first before we continue. Number one, Hassan Rouhani has said emphatically and from the beginning, Iran does not want nuclear weapons, and they're not pursuing a nuclear weapon. And under no circumstance would they have a nuclear weapon. In fact, from day one of his administration, he's been saying that. Now, look, if you say, well, I don't believe him, okay, that's a fair enough position. I don't blame you for not trusting, the word of Hassan Rouhani, the president of Iran. But maybe you should trust the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, whose job is to monitor exactly this. And they've come back and said multiple times, yeah, there's no evidence Iran is creating a nuclear weapon. So you have the president of the country saying, we don't want one because we think, America will attack us if we do that, and we don't want to be attacked. We know what it's like. In 1953, the U.S. overthrew a democratically elected government in Iran and put in our own puppet dictator, the Shah, right? And by the way, I love the irony that the U.S. overthrew their government, and then when they say, maybe we should have something for self-defense, the U.S. goes, no, that's unreasonable of you. It's unreasonable, then how are they supposed to protect from you? How are they supposed to know you're not going to overthrow them again? If there's any country in the world that actually has a good reason to have a nuclear weapon, it would be Iran. But nonetheless, Hassan Rouhani is even more open-minded on this issue than I am. He's like, no, it's cool. We don't want one. We think that'll provoke an attack. So we're against it. So he says he's against it. The IAEA says they're not creating one. So why do you want to crush them? You got exactly what you wanted. That's exactly what you want. They're not creating one. They're not planning on creating one. So, but he's like, no, I'm even against further negotiations. And I just want to crush them. Why? Why? There's no reason to. But that shows you, these guys they have no idea what's going on internationally, and they just hate who their leaders tell them to hate, the people who they're emotionally connected to, the Rush Limbaughs of the world, Sean Hannity's, or George W. Bush's, or whatever, John Boehner, Ted Cruz's, where they say, yeah, strength, America's strong foreign policy, Iran is the biggest threat to peace. They're zombies, right? Iran is the biggest threat to peace, or that's more of a robot. They're a big threat to peace and we need to attack them even though they're not doing anything wrong. That's the kind of person he is. And then also, final thing here, right before I came on air, story broke. You know what the Obama administration, John Kerry, Secretary of State, you know what they were able to do as a result of the negotiations? Not only, as we already knew, that they're not creating a nuclear weapon, they don't plan to. Not only that, Iran is allowed to, under international law, enrich uranium simply for nuclear power. So they have power for their grids, for energy, right? And they're allowed under international law and all that stuff. But they just, as part of a deal, they just reached a deal. Iran says, we'll even forego that right. We won't even enrich for, for our energy grid anymore. You win. So yeah, talking is totally a bad idea. Talking is totally a terrible thing. You should crush somebody, not only if they're not doing what you want them to do, you should crush them even if they do exactly what you want to do. So just crush them either way. It's funny how Colonel Ralph Peters is basically this schoolyard bully walking around the elementary school and punching people for no reason. And also I should note, if you're curious as to why he's always pro-war and why he's always for it, well, he gets paid from defense contractors. They pay him to go out on Fox News and say these things and always push for war because then they make more money.